Kwa hii ambaye tumeanzisha leo.
Ardhi Sasa project also saw the production of Kenya's first digital topographical map and those of the nation's 47 counties. Ben Chumba, reporting for Channel 1 News.
Tonight on KBC Channel 1.
That's unbelievable. I don't want to live here anymore. This doesn't feel like home. Oh my God. I'm going to leave. You leave, where will you go? I'll go anywhere. Oh, and the amount you want me to deposit tomorrow.
I'm so sorry to disappoint you, madam, but your money is of no importance to me.
Are you telling me that you're going to refuse it? Lucretia might be the woman who shot Amaya. Really? She was at the building this morning, and she had a purse that looked just like the one I saw from the woman who came from Emma's building the day Amaya was shot.
Next on.
Namuomba Allah atupatie furaha يوم العيد na atupatie siha na atuepushe na maasiya na mambo mabaya, atujalie tuwatembelee wagonjwa, tuwatembelee majirani. Hizo neema ambazo Muislamu amejaliwa ndani ya siku ya Eid na pia sunna zake ambazo Muislamu amejaliwa.
Welcome back. Let's continue with what's making the headlines on our local dailies. And let's talk about matters BBI. Now, MPs want all BBI changes taken to a referendum. And according to the Justice and Legal Affairs Committee, they want all changes to the constitution put forward in the BBI bill should be subjected to a referendum, according to them. And some of the recommendations is that they have advised against the president against signing into law certain provisions of the bill once Parliament approves the document. In the report set to be debated today, now the committee said that the Constitution of Kenya Amendment Bill, that is BBI, contains several provisions that are interrelated. And also one of the recommendations of the committee is that they concluded that the bill should be subjected to the referendum based on a single question, all right, not the multiple questions that had earlier been suggested by some quarters. And they say that it would be impractical to ask Kenyans to vote one way or the other on multiple questions, the team has said. And lastly, they said that the Parliament cannot amend the bill as it is driven through a popular initiative. The committee, however, found that pursuant to Article 257(10) of the Constitution, Parliament cannot replace or usurp the people's views on a popular initiative with its own. So thus, the ultimate authority regarding a popular initiative bill rests with the people. So that is as far as BBI is concerned, and they have a sitting today. It is going to be a heated debate in the chambers.
Talking about a heated debate in the chambers, and that is one thing we're going to be highly focusing on here as KBC Channel 1. I want to quote nominated Member of Parliament Godfrey Otsotsi, who says as much as I am a supporter of the BBI process, we cannot, as Parliament, pass a faulty document which courts will easily throw away. Well, he differed with those claiming that Parliament had no rule and insisted that the Constitution Articles 194 and 194 and 5 as well as 257 allows the House to review a popular initiative. He argued that there was nowhere in the world where Parliament is a bystander in constitution making. Now, to put the intrigues around the BBI as it gets to the House today, is going to be put into perspective by our reporter Irene Mchuma Odim, who just looked at what different factions are saying in regard to this particular report that is going to find its way this morning. The House and KBC Channel 1 is going to be bringing you the live proceedings of Parliament in not too long. How about you get that report, Irene?
Report was passed by the County Assembly's kicks off Wednesday in the two houses. Both the National Assembly and the Senate will table and discuss BBI reports amid controversy whether the right document was discussed at the counties before it was approved. A section of leaders in the Orange Democratic Party says Parliament will pass the bill as it is.
The fact remains ya kuwa Wakenya ambao kwamba ndio wenye nchi wameshasema tunataka iwe hivi. IBC is a body that is represented by individuals. Those individuals do not surpass the millions of Kenyans who voted for this.
The leaders defending Raila Odinga on claims that he was shortchanged in final BBI report.
It is give and take in politics. And so ODM got a lot of things that ODM wanted. There are also quite a number of things that we wanted and we did not get. In fact, if you ask me, ODM initially wanted a pure parliamentary system.
In case the legislators fail to pass the document to the houses in the first and second readings, then the debates will be pushed to Tuesday next week.
Tunapitisha the bill without any amendments.
Elsewhere, Director People with Disabilities Meru County Mike Macarena has blamed a group of Mount Kenya region MPs for allegedly hawking the region to the highest political bidder.
Tunaomba MP wale tulichagua si wakati wa kutetea Ruto. Hii ni wakati wa COVID na COVID inaua. Saidieni mlemavu yule analala kwa nyumba, mama yule ako na mtoto mlemavu.
Irene Mchuma Odim, Channel 1.
Let's wait and see how day one will play out in regards to that parliamentary seating. Now let's move on to some bit of health conversation and look at this particular story here on the front page of the Daily Nation, where the Ministry of Health is on the spot following the release and the dispatch of toxic ARV drugs to patients. So a lot has been said about this since the dispatchment. But looking at the details is that now the government, of course, being represented by the Ministry of Health, is under criticism for releasing ARV drugs that were phased out years ago by the same government back in 2019 due to their adverse side effects on patients. And these side effects were said to have been noticed in a lot of patients from different counties, and some of the most common side effects that most people were reporting, they were abdominal pain, some had rashes, fatigue, headache, vomiting and muscle pain, which would go away after a month, but there were some severe cases that actually reported liver damage. Now, the Kenya Medical Supplies Authority, KEMSA, on Thursday did flag off 231 counties, 29 types of ARV drugs in 24,800 packs. And this whole, looking at the whole consignment, it's estimated to have cost, or rather be worth 1.2 million Kenya shillings. And these drugs, the same batch, worth this figure, 1.2 billion, was phased out back in 2019. Again, as a result of patients reporting adverse reactions to the drugs. Another consignment was flagged off yesterday to the remaining 16 counties. Now, there are three particular drugs that were phased out by the ministry. The first one is zidovudine, lemivudine, and nevirapine. These are the three ARV drugs that were phased out by the Ministry of Health and considered no longer to be used here within the country. And most of these are used by adults, except for the let me try and pronounce it right, except for the nevirapine. So after being released, so many questions are being asked, because looking at a report that was, a statement that was made last year by KEMSA, is that they had destroyed the last batch of these drugs that they had. But according to the details of this consignment that has been released, it has been under storage from March of last year. And it is emerging to be the same batch that KEMSA allegedly said that they had destroyed because they were no longer being used within the country. Now concern is rising over this particular one that is supposed to be used on infants who are born to mothers that are HIV positive and are still breastfeeding. It is among this consignment that has been released to the rest of the country. Now, lobby groups and activists are just trying to understand why the ministry is doing this. And this, mind you, is this particular batch was the stock that was donated by the Global Fund and the President's Emergency Plan for AIDS Relief that had been held in their warehouse for months. So we are waiting to see what the ministry has to say in regards to this. Dee.
About the toxicity of these drugs. Now, Kenyans living with HIV say that their lives have been in danger for a while now because of the delay of the distribution of these drugs. Now, to a bit of a reprieve and good news for persons living with HIV here in the country, and this is after at least 389,000 551 persons living with HIV in Western Kenya can now breathe a sigh of relief after the government kicked off the distribution of ARVs. That was yesterday. So KEMSA flagged off the distribution of these drugs, and the drug consignment will be distributed not just to the western part of the country, but also areas around Migori, Nyanza, Kisumu, Siaya, and also in this western part of the country, it will be Vihiga, Kakamega, and Bungoma. So speaking during this particular flag of exercise at KEMSA Regional Distribution Center in Kisumu town yesterday, that was the Deputy Governor Matthews Owili who facilitated that. So part of also what is coming up in regards to this distribution of these drugs, the deputy governor there, Mr. Willie, said that the shortage of HIV commodities was already causing a crisis in the management of HIV clients, especially those in these counties which I've mentioned, given the fact that those are the areas in which it records high cases of persons living with HIV. So at least a bit of a reprieve for persons living with HIV in some of these counties which will be getting these drugs. And away from health matters a bit, just to come to what NMS is doing, or what at least they did yesterday, and this is in regards to just the test drive of that Green Park bus terminus, which is the first one in which they decided to do this test drive. And this is just in a bit to decongest the city. These are things in which they have been in talks and conversations with, and it's not only going to be Green Park, but the other areas which have been designated as bus terminus also include the Fig Tree terminus. This will be at Ngara area, and this will serve matatus from Wayaki Way, Uhuru Highway, Kipande, as well as Limuru Road. There will be also vehicles, PSV, vehicles from areas around Mombasa Road, areas such as Imara Daima, Athi River, and the bus terminus for these particular vehicles will be the junction of Bunyala and Workshop Road. There will also be one, which is the Mudhurwa terminus, which is expected to serve vehicles coming all the way from Jogoo Road as well as Lusaka Road. So what they were doing yesterday was just to see how it's going to work out the moment all this becomes operational from next month. They were trying to see how pedestrians will be able to move from those specific from that specific terminus, given that's the only place in which they tested, all the way to the city center. However, there are a bit of complaints from Kenyans who are coming from that specific area, saying that there's not enough consultations in which they was made, especially to most of these pedestrians. But again, also part of what was noted yesterday, and this is by the NMS Director of Roads Engineer, that is Michael Ochieng. He said that just from what they did yesterday, they were able to assess some challenges in which they will work on before the terminus becomes operational as from next month. But what is of key importance is how will all of this work out, given the fact that the former Nairobi governor had tried the same in 2018. This is again one of those things that we'll continue to just look at to see how these PSVs will be operating the moment all this becomes operational from next month.
Right. So that is it. We have talked about some story here, and ladies, Kenya doctors returned from Cuba after 2 years. That is according to Professor Anyang' Nyong'o at yesterday, who returned finally returned home. The Council of Governors announced yesterday now 50 studied family medicine, but one died as a result of depression over family problems. A second withdrew for personal reasons. Now, head of COG now said that the remaining 48 will now be given an internship with the county government hospitals for a period of 9 months before they are deployed. But ladies, one thing that we cannot avoid talk about, we all know, the fifth columnist, for those who read the Daily Nation years back, one veteran, Philip Ochieng, rested yesterday. And as our own, we just have to give a tribute, all right? He was a writer. We all know that. He was a writer. He rested yesterday at the age of 83 at his home in Awendo, in Migori County. And the family said that Ochieng finally took his last breath due to pneumonia. What do you say about the fifth columnist? For those of us who read his article on the Daily Nation.
Okay, let me go first.
Yeah.
Now, Philip Ochieng had a style that, in as much as he would use, not simple English per se, but you could see that this was a well-versed writer or columnist. He would give satirical responses, you know, or rather in-depth to issues that he was bringing forth that would make you understand. In as much as you'd used big words here and there, as you'd like to say it, you know, talk about, you know, the big words, the hard words, most people, you know, we do not use in conversations so often. His writing skill was something that I would admire, and I still admire. If indeed I was to ever work under someone, I would have wanted Philip Ochieng to be my mentor if all I took to print. He was one of those people who made writing beautiful.
Absolutely. Jen?
Well, I cannot say much about him, but, you know, just looking at those guys who have gone ahead of us and helped to shape what broadcast journalism is today, it is definitely among that lot, and we just want to wish him well as he journeys on.
Yeah. Doreen, they say that... All right.
Yeah, because I haven't really interacted with his work.
He was a writer. Most of the journalists actually used to read this article to learn a lesson every particular day. Because he used to, it was like a class on its own. You do an article, and the veteran Philip Ochieng would take that article and actually edit it on paper, an article. So and
some of those articles are actually even used in classes during the print units for those who majored in print journalism.
So as journalists, we say that a journalist never dies. We simply go to the next assignment. And to the family of the veteran Philip Ochieng, may you find the grace at this particular point. All right.
I don't know if you're winding up in the headlines on that point, but I'd want to remind you that tonight, Champions League semi-finals. Victor, since you and I are the ones who are into sports here. So, to say PSG versus Man City. Unawekelea nini ama wapi?
That is a tough match.
Unawekelea nini wapi? Martin anasema 1.5.
Over 1.5 because Aguero is there. Manchester City right now in the EPL, they are the top contenders.
They're doing well.
They're doing perfectly well. Actually, they're 10 points ahead of number 2. I don't want to talk about number 2. I don't know which team is number 2, but they're 10 points ahead of.
Who is at the bottom, you can afford to say, but I don't know how many points. Sema.
But that is it. Okay, they are top. They are there ahead of.
Why don't you want to put a number to it?
Yes.
Why don't you want to put a number to it?
No.
Victor.
Yes, 10 points ahead of number 2, and PSG is also one of the toughest.
There's no team called number 2.
Yeah.
Which team? Stop misleading the viewers.
Which team is that?
Stop misleading the viewers on who are watching.
Just say the name.
Which team is number 2 on the EPL log?
Say the name.
Okay, it's going to be a tough match tonight.
You have refused to say the name.
I
You
like
just
your
put in numbers.
determination, Victor.
Yeah.
Tunakujua, those are haters. Those are haters. You know, when we see them, they can only be Arsenal fans, but we all know. So when we say Arsenal, I don't know why Mark is quiet, because he happens to be a Manchester United fan also.
Yeah.
So it is 2 versus 1, and you know what they say about the majority always having their way and the minority having their say. How about that? So tonight, coaches a new rivalry in Champions League semis today. We are talking about Paris Saint-Germain manager, that is Mauricio Pochettino there. Manchester City counterpart Pep Guardiola, best coach in the world, as they prepare to renew their rivalry in the Champions League semi-finals today. So those who bet, well, what are your odds? Yo ni siri yako. Ni siri yako. We are not advocating for betting per se. I'm just saying, you know, what are the odds? So Manchester City taking on PSG. So possible lineups. Victor, you were mentioning the possible lineup of probably Man City.
Yeah.
They're saying there's Ederson, Walker, Stones, Ruben Dias, Cancelo, Rodri, Mahrez, De Bruyne, Foden, and Bernardo Silva. On the other side, we have PSG. We have Navas, Florenzi, Marquinhos, Gueye, Padres, Neymar, Di Maria, Verratti. I'm seeing some people. I'm seeing, you know. Anyway, tutajua kesho. We will be here. So remember, that's a match to watch. Remember, kuna curfew, so you need to be home to watch this particular match, just in case you don't get yourself in traffic. And talking about sports there, we also have something about club politics, and guess who has made the headlines in as far as club politics is concerned is none other than Arsenal manager Mikel Arteta, who says now there's been a bit of a push and pull there when it comes to owner Stan Kroenke. Has no intention to sell, but more than 1,000 fans protested outside Emirates Stadium on Friday, calling for him to quit. Hey, who do you want to quit now? Victor, who do you want to quit in regard to this story? Arsenal legends Thierry Henry, Dennis Bergkamp, and Patrick Vieira have joined Spotify founder and billionaire Daniel X bid to buy the club. Yani, for you guys to win, you need to change management.
That's what happens.
Not just players.
That's what happens. Because
for you, it's not even management. You are working towards looking at ownership.
EPL is one of the most lucrative business in terms of football and sporting is concerned.
Lucrative. Umesema lucrative ama creative?
No, lucrative business. There's so much money in that sport. And because it's one of the most watched sports and most competitive sports in the world, apart from World Cup and Champions League, but EPL actually is there. So you can imagine all the club owners and the club chairmen, they have a lot of money put in such clubs. Because you can imagine Arsenal building its own stadium, Manchester United building its own stadium.
Oh, finally.
And it's... Okay. Okay, Manchester United.
No, say it again.
Building its own stadium.
Manchester City, Arsenal, Liverpool building their own stadium. Yeah.
And that other one?
That one. Yeah. But let's give credit where it's due. Manchester United, had they not... No. Over
Let
the weekend,
me sip my tea. As you were saying?
Yes, you can sip that tea now. That 0-0 draw with the Leeds United had a dent on your performance.
Yes.
And because you wanted to narrow that gap between Manchester City and Manchester United. But this is it. Manchester City wanaweza shinda hii game as early as this weekend. This league. If they win, then it's a done deal. But it's not over for you guys, because number 2 is yours, and therefore you're fighting to get a slot in the Champions League, which by all rights you have achieved. Sisi will live to fight.
Nyinyi ng'ang'aneni hapa. I don't know. People now want to buy your club because the way things are going. Things are going south, left, right, and...
Tutakuwa tuna distribute popcorn.
Tutakuwa tunazikula tu hata.
Tukidistribute.
Lakini Ray, These two.
You still wonder?
Watu wawili wako wapi usually? Just ask him.
Which one? For us, we actually support
and Doreen.
we support teams by association. So in that regard, you barely talk much about it. Because it's just by association.
Boy.
I'm not a big football fan.
Oh, bladder, kati. We know.
Basketball.
Okay. Okay.
I got nothing to say.
I have a question. I have a question.
I'm trying to look at what people are saying on Twitter because...
Three names of legendary basketball players in Kenya. Starting one.
In Kenya?
In Kenya.
Takuwa tricky. Mimi najua tu timu mzima tu na sijui the players. Moran. The Morans. I just know that was, and they did very well by beating Angola. And nimemalizia hapo.
So that question is directed to who? Wamboi?
Yes.
3 basketball players.
Yes.
Dang it.
Yeah.
Because she?
Because I said I love basketball.
Yeah.
Well, I can tell you of all that we played with. Because our team was legendary. Yes.
Morans.
The African Nazarene team.
But then the lady coach is doing an amazing job.
Kwanza, our coach then was called Wilkista Achieng. Has anybody ever interacted with Wilkista Achieng?
Have you?
She was my basketball coach in high school.
Okay.
Not high school, university.
Yes.
And she was one of the best in the industry.
Yeah.
We always used to top the league. That was African Nazarene, USIU, and Daystar. And of course, Nairobi University. Tulikuwa tunasumbuana now.
Okay. Why you did not make it to the national team is a question for another day.
Well, no, you need to tongea your kanto.
She went to give us stories.
Yes.
Kuna story happen hapo katikati.
Why you did not join the national team is a story.
And why she didn't mention the names?
That's not a big deal.
As long as it's what you loved.
As long as it's what I loved. It's not about justifying.
Yeah. Besides, people have different things that they like and love. So
now, talking about sports, since we've said we give some bit of, focus on sports, moving away from matters of COVID-19 to the issue of ARVs, what is happening in the JSC, and what we're expecting to see in Parliament today. Now, apparently, Jemima Siangu and Joan Chelagat are among the 4 players who will not be on the Malkia Strikers squad set for a 1-month Olympic training camp. And we have a roundup of what has been happening in the local scene as prepared by one reporter, Barclay Feather, just puts matters of local sports into perspective. I don't know if we have that particular story, Martin, there. Maybe we can run it to just culminate this conversation that we've been having about sports and such. In as much as we're talking about international leagues and teams, it's a high time we also supported our very own. Remember, 2 weeks back, government launched 100 days to the Olympics. So various teams that are going to be showcasing at that particular that feat have already started their training, doing friendlies and such. And now we understand that Jemima Siangu and Joan Chelagat are among 4 who will not be in the Malkia Strikers squad set for 1-month Olympic training camp in Brazil. To that report. Remember, you can get further details in regard to what is happening, not just in matters sports, as well as what is happening in the political scene on our website, that is www.kbc.co.ke. Now, today we're expecting quite a showdown there as the BBI goes to the House. There are some legislators who have been saying that they need to amend the clauses, or rather the erroneous errors that were, made public, given that only 13 counties debated the correct bill. So some say that they need to change this, while others say that the bill has to be passed as is. So what is going to carry the day? That is the question, and we will be here as KBC Channel 1 to bring you that particular live broadcast. And talking about interactive, in the next few minutes, we're going to be putting into perspective matters of Kenya's economy and now delving into, personal investments as well as your personal economic status. I know to some it will say the sun is shining in our pockets. Some will be happy, especially those who are in formal employment, who around this time they want to say that this is end month. But now that you've had that cash in hand, what do you intend to spend that money on? Matters of prioritizing where you invest. And I'd want to throw a question to my colleagues in studio this morning. Do you plan for your salary? Let's start off with Doreen.
Yes, I do. And I think...
What do you prioritize? Maybe give us your priorities with the monies that you get. What is your priority?
To be very honest, my first priority is savings. I don't know really why. I just, I feel like that is the first thing I need to do before any other thing. It's savings. I think it's part of that is because of, my upbringing per se. So that's the first thing I really prioritize. But aside from that, I plan what goes to what goes to shopping, what goes to perhaps buying of stuff, and first of all, what goes to the savings. Because I think in as much as we might be in formal employment and we are at least assured that at the end of the day, you will still get your payment, I think it's important to plan, because as someone said, if you fail to plan, what happens?
You plan to fail.
You plan to fail. So planning, regardless, for me, it's very important.
Tithe, number 1, is key for me. Number 2, you tafuta where your landlord is. Tumalizana. Savings is very important. The rest, usulize mwanaume.
Yeah, okay.
In that order.
So Doreen prioritizes savings.
Yeah.
Victor tithing first, then the landlady, then then after the landlady, savings.
Then the rest, etc.
We can't ask because you're male. You're male.
Please.
Yeah.
Please.
Sour. Jane?
Thank you.
For me, bills come first. Once I've taken care of the recurrent bills, because that is something I plan way ahead of, in a way that salo ikiingia hivi hakuna ku negotiate what needs to be paid.
You sort out the IMF.
Una sort out IMF, World Bank, una pia serikali ya Kenya inahitaji. Of course serikali inachukuanga before. Gladly. But recurrent bills, that is always my priority. Na school fees. In that order.
Boom. The rest?
When it comes to savings, it's not a do or die situation for me. As I told you guys, it's an adopt and adapt. So looking at how the situation is, you know how much to put away. It's not a set figure every month.
It depends.
Yes.
How the situation is.
Because you have some good months where you get extra.
Yeah.
Yeah, na kuna zile mwezi imekauka. That is it for me.
Well, those are some of the questions that we're going to be posing to economist Geoffrey Injeni, just looking at an individual perspective when it comes to just handling your finances, as well as where we stand as Kenya's economy with the matters of debt servicing. And during this COVID-19 situation, are Kenyans saving or investing, or are we surviving?
But this goes, this is one of the conversations that was actually happening on our sister radio station, KBC Radio Taifa, looking at savings culture. How early were you introduced to it as a child?
Savings culture.
Savings culture.
Yeah.
Well, it is said, or rather, financial analysts will tell you that you need to save at least a tenth of your earnings. But the way things are, a majority of us cannot save, and that's why there are other options like table banking and chamas to help you save. Do not go away. We'll be putting all this into perspective in not too long. But for now, ITH is a wrap. Remember, we can meet same time, same place tomorrow. Do not go away. We'll be discussing matters of economy in not too long.
I am in Bungoma County, a county that has been listed among the top counties leading in the cases of teenage pregnancy in the country.
It escalated during the COVID season. That was the time we reached the peak and the height. We actually had about 6,000 cases plus. Those are the ones which we managed to capture.
Even these teenage pregnancies that we already have in the facility, those are the ones that came. We are not sure how many more are in the villages.
Meet 15-year-old Tessie, not her real name. Tessie was robbed of her childhood by a person a child would ideally look up to, her head teacher.
Mwalimu akaniita, akaniambia nimpelekee kitabu ya kamusi. Na nilifika kwa darasa nikachukua nikampelekea. Na nimpelekea, nikaniuliza tunaweza ukanipea yako, nikanyamaza tu sikumjibu. Akaanza kunishikashika matiti. Alafu akanisukuma na akafunga mlango. Na akaniangukia.
A rape incident that left her pregnant and confused.
Kwa nikachukua mtoto nikapeleka hosi. Pale nilipeleka hosi, daktari akaniambia mtoto yako kuna mimba. Kweli nilistuka.
Nilisikia vibaya. Sikuwa nataka. Nitarajia tu nisome. Siwezi kufanya kitendo kama hiyo.
Reluctantly, she coped. As if the pain of being defiled was not enough, Tessie lost her baby in unclear circumstances 4 days after birth.
Mimi nilikuwa nimetoka nimeenda toilet. Kurudi napata tu anapiga ndera. Nilikuja kumwangalia. Kufika tu kwa mlango na analala. Mimi nikajua tu amelala.
Tessie may not have a child to raise today, but she is nursing a wound that has refused to dry, with her long traumatic journey that appears far from over, a journey to seek justice.
Niende wapi? Kweli. Mwalimu angejua anataka kutubadilisha daa ama anataka urafiki mwingine, hata angekuja mimi mwenyewe. Mimi ndio huyu kulika aende kwa mtoto yangu mtoko kama huyo.
Sasa mtoto amekaa nyumbani bila kuenda shule, mtoto alijifungua, maiti yako akumojari mpaka saa hii.
Mimi ningetaka ashikwe na apewe adabu. Asifanye mtoto wenyewe kitendo kama hicho.
Please let our policemen investigate correctly in any defilement cases they're taken. Because if they hide evidence, they record the wrong statements, we don't get up getting justice for these defiled children and defiled girls.
Several kilometers away from Bungoma in Kisumu County, we visit another home in Seme Sub-County. We share a light moment with these playful twins. They are 1 month shy from marking their first birthday. The two are their mother's source of smile.
Msichana ndio mkubwa anaitwa Jacqueline Akinyi. Alafu huyo kijana ndiye anamfuata anaitwa Gordon Onyango.
14-year-old Nora, not her real name, introduces us to her twins. She got pregnant after sitting for her KCPE examination 2 years ago, but had to shelve her ambitions to join Form 1 to fend for her bundles of joy after their father, a close relative, jilted her.
Wazazi wangu waliniuliza mwenye alinipatia mimba, nikawaambia. Wakienda kumuuliza kakataa ati sio yeye. Saa zingine nakata kuni nauza, tunakula nayo. Saa zingine mama wangu pia ananitumania pesa kidogo, tunatumia.
She says it's a burden she wouldn't wish for any young girl.
Ningeambia wasichana wangekuwa mimi, sana wasichana bado wanasoma. Kafadhali waachane na mambo ya boyfriend. Boyfriend wanadanganya watu.
At a nearby homestead, we meet Becky, not her real name. She has just put her son to sleep. Time now to embark on chores.
Inabidi umeamka saa 11, hata saa 11 unakuja unajitayarisha, alafu unakuja ndio unaamvisha tena. Saa zingine imeshafika time ya kwenda shuleni. Amekataa yeye, bado analia, hata anataka maziwa. Alafu kwa masomo sasa huwezi soma usiku. Kama unakuja mimi ndio nimekuja napika, mimi ndio pengine nikishapika yeye pia ako hapo na mbadilisha usiku analialia.
Becky is among thousands of teenage girls who got pregnant during the long school break occasioned by the COVID-19 pandemic.
Mwezi wa 5 ndio nilikuwa nimegundua kwamba siwezi attend. Hasa venye niligundua hivyo, nilienda nikanunua ile test kit, nikapima, nikapata niko na mimba.
In Kilifi County, which ranked high in the cases of teenage pregnancies reported during the COVID-19 pandemic, We sought to speak to young mothers about their experiences.
Nilipopata mimba, nyumbani tayari watu wako hawajui tuseme. Mpaka nilipoanza kuwa kubwa, watu wakaanza kujua. Walivyojua marafiki na wakaa, yani marafiki, yani hanichekeki kawaida, kila mtu yani wanitenga hivi. Nikipita njiani ndo wananiangalia, wananisema.
She was also jilted by her lover and regrets adding another burden on the shoulders of her grandmother, who took her in when she lost her parents.
Alikataa. Sasa nyangu akaamua tayari tuachane naye, sema atakana mtoto na mimi niweze kurudi shule.
Her story resonates with that of this 19-year-old girl, whom we shall call Naomi. With her baby tucked to her back and a jerrycan of water, literally depicting the challenge of balancing between being a child, a mother, and a student.
Tulishikana na kijana mwaka wa 2017, tulifika mwaka wa 2018 kashika ujauzito.
For the last 3 years, Naomi's efforts to get child support from her baby's father have been fruitless. The tales of these teenage mothers exposes the vulnerabilities that girls from poverty-stricken families often go through, that often give sex predators an opportunity to win over them in their power plays. Reporting for Channel 1 News from Nyamaroko village in Seme constituency of Kisumu County, I am Safin Aching Oma.
All right, and at 12 minutes past 8, time for our next traffic link-up segment. And just as I mentioned earlier, today we'll be focusing on Likoni Road. And this is simply because Kura had mentioned that motorists will have to just wait a little bit longer before this specific section of this entire stretch is opened up to the public. And just to give you again what we mentioned earlier as it pertains to this road and the construction process, for those that might have missed it, this is why we are looking at this specific road. This is a section of Likoni Road, one of those very instrumental roads, and this is especially as it pertains to matters businesses, because around this stretch is really a commercial center. When you look at the number of industries, especially around the areas of Enterprise Road, going all the way to areas around House of Manji. In fact, that stretch which was being closed is beginning from Jogo Road, going all the way to House of Manji, through Enterprise, before you get to branch off to Mombasa Road. Likoni Road is a 1.7 kilometer road there, and this section again is that one which was being expanded or reconstructed, at least to make it a dual carriage road, to necessitate all these reasons which I'm just saying. The road was closed in September of 2020. The construction process was supposed to take September to March, and this is why it was supposed to be opened up in March. But that didn't happen because of some issues here and there and some delays that has made that not to be complete the way they had mentioned. They haven't put a specific time as to when the remaining parts of this specific road is supposed to be complete. But as of now, this is how it is looking like. So at least a good chunk of it is already complete. I can say that what they're still kind of working on is to ensure they have well put NMT, that is an unmotorized transport system, which is inclusive of pedestrian walkways as well as cyclist lanes. And just from what you are spotting, clearly looks like those are the only remaining parts, if I can mention. And look at that, that is actually towards the end of that specific route, which is what they're still working on. The delays were because of major two reasons. This is water and electricity. And again, just recap it for you what this simply means when it comes to water and electricity. Look at what you're seeing on your screen right now. From that specific image, you can clearly see that there's some electricity poles. This is one of those things that they had to deal with because some parts of them, some of them had to be relocated to different areas. And this only meant that Kura had to involve Kenya Power, which was not in the plan, for the purpose of relocating these electricity poles, at least to ensure that as they are widening this road, they map in the places in which they had already designated. Aside from that, they had also to bring on board the Nairobi Water and Sewerage Company because of those water pipes. Because as the road was being, just as they were assessing this road in terms of the widening, looked like most of it would have captured those areas. So it only meant that they had to relocate some of these things. And this is the major reason as to why it has delayed the process. So this is how it is looking like, at least as of now. They're still working on those other areas. So again, it only means at the moment they get to complete, we'll again come back to this specific stretch, try to see how all this will be affecting as well as impacting traffic. So this is the state of Likoni Road, at least as of now. In terms of traffic, not so bad actually throughout that entire stretch, as much as they're continuing with those ongoing works. Perhaps in the next link-up segment, we'll try to look at alternative routes on that stretch of House of Manji Enterprise as you get to Mombasa Road.
All right, welcome back. This is KBC Channel 1. Of course, you're watching The Viewpoint right now. Let's get into the details and get to know what is happening across the country. And today we want to focus on the impeachment of Wajir governor, that is Governor Mohamed Abdi, who was impeached yesterday by a total of 37 MCAs in that particular county and on certain allegations. And we're going to get into details how that happened, why the MCAs did not follow the legal proceedings as per the law. And now I'm being joined by Honorable Hussein Dair, who is the member or the MCA of Habaswein Ward in Wajir County, who is one of the supporters of the said impeachment. Honorable Hussein Dair, thank you so much for joining us. And first of all, let me just ask you this question. How is Wajir doing this particular morning?
Thank you, Ken. Hosting Channel 1. Wajir is calm and the people are now okay. And only few members of the community here and there had wrangles yesterday, and they were not able to take up on the issues of the impeachment of the governor, and that is the state of affairs of Wajir as per today. But it is virtually calm.
Absolutely. Okay, so Mheshimiwa, let me just ask you this question. What informed the impeachment?
Thank you. First of all, Wajir becomes, it has gone into the annals of history in terms of impeaching a sitting governor in northern counties. And this was as a result of a good number of grounds that the county assembly could not be able to take up initially. And that was the main reason why the members of the county assembly across the board have taken up, and this was not the first time an attempt was made by the members of the county assembly to impeach the governor. I remember it was known also to the public. The media themselves had a time when we had a sitting with the governor sometimes back in August 2020, when the governor himself was able to commit himself into a writing or signing a memorandum where he will be able to change all those issues that we saw that were not on the right track. However, the governor was not able to have those changes that we demanded by them. And that is the reason of our basis of carrying out the impeachment as of yesterday.
All right. And Mheshimiwa, earlier in the day, the lawyers acting for the said governor tried to serve the MCAs with the court papers, but you still went ahead and impeached the governor. Why didn't you give the legal proceeding to take its effect before the impeachment?
Thank you. Thank you for asking that question. I believe it is constitutionally wrong for the lawyers to serve us or for the courts to have a stop a proceeding of the county assembly, because the constitution allows separation of powers, and in them allowing the separation of powers, the county assembly is an independent entity which can carry out its own activities, which was in process by then. However, we will not have hesitated if, when the process have been completed by the county assembly and the Senate, His Excellency Mohammed Abdi Mahmoud, to have gone to court and or maybe the court bars us to maybe sworn in a new governor for the county. However, our claim was, and constitutionally that is, there was a separation of powers. The county assembly was in process of carrying out one of its oversight role. I know and I understand that impeachment, however, it is the last option. It's part and parcel of oversighting the executive, and that was the reason, because it is mentioned under the Constitution 181, Article 181 of the Constitution, where the members of the county assembly are mandated to carry out that impeachment process or removing a governor from the office. And therefore, I could not be able to understand why the governor was hesitant not to engage and sit before the members of the county assembly and defend himself, because there was a position in terms of administrative justice. The governor was required to come and defend himself at the county assembly. However, he sent his lawyers to come and serve us to stop the proceeding of the county assembly. When they came, they were able to come to the assembly, on the floor of the assembly. The speaker was able to read a communication, and in that particular communication, there was those statements that due to the separation of powers, the county assembly can proceed with its activities, and because of that, we were unable to get the documents from the lawyers. And secondly, you've seen or you've heard of the lawyers not accessing the assembly. Actually, where they came and they wanted to access was not the administration, was not the administrative offices where the clerk and the speaker inhabit. What they wanted, or where they came and the access was not given to them, was the chambers. The chambers by then had only the members of the county assembly. The county assembly is governed by an administrative officer who is the clerk. For them to serve the member of the county assembly, such as the member for Abazwain, I speaking, that was not the idea that we welcomed. We told them that here is the chambers. We are only executing our roles at the chambers. When the debate comes, go find for yourself the clerk and the speaker who are not at 2:30 when the session was starting. We allowed them. They came in. However, they did not came in to defend the mood on the grounds but they said to serve the speaker as he was carrying out his duties while he was sitting and the session was on, and the speaker himself will not be able to carry out those documents. And he read his communication. Part of his communication was due to the separation of powers. We are able to continue with our process of carrying out the impeachment of that day, or repeating the motion whose notice of motion had been there for the last 8 days.
Right. Mheshimiwa Dair, the question now is the governor is accusing the MCAs of not giving dialogue a chance, that you did not give him a chance so that he can explain himself. Why not so?
Very good. That is one thing that the governor had always said. But we have got a proverb in the Somali community where we say, mtu mwenye anakojoa kila mara, unajua, you'll consistently change where he's going to sleep on. The mattresses you are going to change on consistently. From where I sit, I'm one of the chairs of the County Assembly committees. And, you know, the County Assembly carries out its oversight role through committees. The committee I represent, or the department I represent at the County Assembly, at the same time oversighting, we had impeached one of the CECs some times back. The governor was hesitant to remove him, and up to date, it's court that is making him stay. And time was given a chance. We gave before this impeachment that we've carried out yesterday. There was a preceding attempt that the members who signed by then were 23 members, and then we gave dialogue a chance. That was an alternative mechanism, resolution mechanism. We started both in Nairobi and in Gaita, including the members of the National Assembly from the 6 sub-counties of Wajir, and we agreed upon that the members of the County Assembly prepare a memorandum which is going to commit the governor to make those changes that we saw that have not. And among them, I can be able to tell you, among them was not according to the County Assembly their chance to oversight the county, because they are not, you know, we are receiving a chunk of money from national government.
Yes.
We, as the northern counties, most of the northern counties have got a chance of collection of our own revenue. The money we receive, therefore, should be spent rightfully. Those reports telling us that the money has been spent the way it was has never been finding themselves to the County Assembly. We were unable to oversight them using their implementation reports. They had to bring us quarterly reports on how the resources have been used. And we virtually gave a chance to the governor before this. On this time, the members were adamant because we have very few remaining months, and the county have accumulated more than 2 billion shillings as a debt. Time in, time out, the governor or the Department of Finance tables what is referred to as CFSP, the County Fiscal Strategy paper, which is not accompanied with a strategy to manage the debt of the county. And there should be a strategy to manage the debt of the county. We are unable now to hear the cries of the people who have been contracted by the county government, who are not being paid. And believe me, you, that the National Treasury gives us money most of the times. We could not be able to ascertain where this money was going to. So we could not be able to hear the cries of the people. We responded to the cries of the people by sending him home.
Okay, so how much of an evidence, Mheshimiwa, do you have against the governor that informed his impeachment?
Thank you. We have a good number of evidence here. I tell you, this is not the first time we've started or we've attempted removing the governor from office. I can be able to mention.
Yes, go ahead.
A few of them already that was required to report to the county assembly on how the budget was implemented. Quarterly reports were unable to be presented to the county assembly. This is the fourth financial year 2017-18, 18-19, 19-20, 2021. All those reports have not been able to find themselves within the county assembly. Just recently, the second one is about the pending bills. The huge debt the county had, it's more than 2 billion Kenya shillings, with no any strategy on how to pay this debt. So you can be able to understand that economically the county is left hanging, where our contractors, most of the businesses in the county, most of them are starting to shut out from being business people because of the money they owed the county government. And secondly, and that is one reason why the governor just wants to talk to us without a strategy which is followed to the latter. The other thing is about money coming to the county. For quite some time, there were funds that was given to us by the National Treasury for us to pay the suppliers or anything that is due to the county. However, payment has not been made in Wajir County, within the districts of Wajir County. It was being made in Nairobi, Mombasa, Garissa, all those other counties. The Chief of Staff for Finance, under the instruction of the governor.
Yes.
And the first family of the governor, I can be able to tell you this, that payment is being made outside the county. And there are no files that are found outside the county. The files for which the payment will have been made are all locked in the offices. I can be able to tell you for free that a good number of projects that have been paid for by the county government of Wajir today are ghost projects. And therefore, those pending bills, the genuine pending bills, are not being paid for.
Yes.
And the other one is about the governor needs to address the county assembly on how plans and policies of the county is being managed by the executive. That he has to address. However, he never sat before the assembly. What that is in the assembly and addressing, give an address of the county affairs in the county assembly. That is one thing also was among the things that we have used as an impeachable act. And the other thing is about our state of health activities. I personally represent Abaswein ward. Abaswein ward has got a referral sub-county hospital. That sub-county referral hospital is in an year in, year out. I was coming up with statements, a good number of statements, around 3 times. I've asked for the state of Abaswein sub-county referral with regard to the number of health staff, with regard to availability of drugs, with regard to availability of other medical supplies, and availability of even funding to run this hospital. That is year in, year out. I can be able to tell you for free this. Abaswein population have now opted, after those things have been failing on deaf ears, they have opted to petition the county assembly some few days ago.
Okay.
And we received a petition from the people of Abaswein on the deplorable health state. Leave alone Abaswein now, go to the the county referral hospital in Wajir. The money of COVID the money that was set aside or the fund to combat COVID-19, county appropriated 194 million for setting up that referral hospital. However, there are no reagents. Deaths have occurred in the counties in the county referral hospital just because of laxity and misuse of the fund that we set aside or we've appropriated for.
Okay, Mheshimiwa, let me cut you short. Let me cut you short briefly. Let me cut you short briefly. Amongst all and amidst all these allegations against the governor, he still insists that his impeachment is politically instigated by his opponents. What do you say about that?
I can be able to tell you for free that the governor is not honest about that. I'm one of the representatives of the people who have supported the motion. The members of the National Assembly sought the support of the members of the National Assembly. Although I was not there, but the rumors are that the governor was told there was a time when we set aside dialogue and we gave them a chance. They came in as arbitrators by then. Now the National Assembly members, whom he is saying that they are the ones meddling politics within the county assembly, or whom he is thinking of, have not been on this stage for now. Now the county assembly members have been fed up by the tricks and the dishonest, I can be able to tell you for free, the tricks and the dishonest way of dealing things with the governor and the first family for that matter. So there is no other politician outside the county assembly who has taken part in his impeachment.
Okay. And do you think now his impeachment is coming a little bit too late, now that the country is almost approaching the next general election?
It's late, never late than never, not late than never, because we see that the economy of the people has been grounded. One day, a change made in one day is better than none. The reason why I'm saying this to you is that the county government of Wajir has accrued 2 billion Kenya shillings.
Yes.
And we are saying that we are going to elections. So when we go for elections, a new governor comes in, do you think it is fair for that governor to inherit more than 2 to 3 billion Kenya shillings as spending bills and pay instead of carrying out activities for the county? One reason why we should be able to say that much it's late, we still have time to carry out radical changes on the mess left by His Excellency Mohammed Abdi Mahmoud. And our appeal is only going to the Senate that they send him the way we've sent him from Wajir.
Okay, and the next question is now related to now the Senate now. Senate Speaker Ken Lusaka will set a date either to form a committee or the whole House of the Senate. My question is, what if it doesn't go your way? What if it doesn't get impeached on the support of the Senate? What will happen?
Yes, I can hear you, Ed. Hello?
Okay, I'm saying the question is, the next stage is now the Senate. What if it doesn't go through the Senate? What will you do?
That is a challenge. This is a process. Impeachment is normally a process, and the process is anchored in the law. We've done our part. The Senate is going to be the county speaker, the county assembly speaker is going to write to the Senate within 3 days, that is lawfully, and so that the Senate carries out its duties as well. For us, where we sit as legislators in the county assembly or county, the county of Wajir, we appeal to the Senate to give a new face to the people of Wajir.
Yes.
Because the people of Wajir, it's known to everyone. We had difficulties in terms of dealing with this governor. And I remember that few days ago, there was a petition at one of the cities of Wajir, it was at the Senate. On Monday, the senator himself was to answer charges at the Senate with regard to the petition presented to the senators. First of the senators are to safeguard the interests of counties. Should senators, the reason why we are saying senators safeguarding the interests of the counties, now the interests of the people of Wajir does not lie with the existence of His Excellency Muhammad Abdi Mahmoud or being at the helm still. We will defend ourselves as we are going to be given a chance to present or to present these allegations with evidences before the senators. However, we are sending appeal. I'm not only sitting, only one member, but on behalf of my colleagues who have impeached the governor, we are sending appeal to the senators to give a new face to the people of Wajir and make all our contractors whose hands have been put aside by the mismanagement led by by His Excellency Muhammad Abdi Mahmoud, 2 billion Kenya shillings.
Okay, all right.
So the senators, we them that way.
Okay, Mheshimiwa. Now, this is just a general question. Most MCAs have been accused of being used by some politicians to blackmail or to settle political scores with the governors. What do you say about this? That the MCAs are being used to square political scores?
And first and foremost, those are lies on or dishonest opinion given out by those detractors who see the county assembly do not want to prosper. Most of the governors, I tell you for free, most of the governors, they want the county assembly to be part and parcel of the executive. But legally, we are not part and parcel of the executive. The county is made of the county assemblies and the executive. And therefore, each and everyone has its own role, responsibilities, and privileges. So when the county assembly does its role, carries out its responsibilities, using its privileges, they feel that they're being used by other distractors. Secondly, most of the county assemblies, they say, they think that the county assembly members are here to a certain nature. Give me you, the county assembly of Wajir is equipped with professionals. Capacity is never too low at the county assembly of Wajir. And because of the capacity, that is the reason why we should be able to oversight the county executive. So those rumors that the county assemblies are being used, I think I can be able to refer them to the county councils that were there before, not the current county assemblies. Secondly, or thirdly, for instance, this is a legislative equivalent to the other Senate and the National Assembly.
Yes. Okay, Mheshimiwa, it seems we are losing you, but let me say thank you. Let me say thank you for your time. Connection problems, but we do really appreciate for joining us here on KBC Channel 1. And of course, we are going to keep a keen eye on what is going to be happening in that particular county in Wajir. Now, we have been speaking to Honorable Hussein Dair, who is the county ward representative of Habaswein ward in Wajir County, just giving us tidbits on what's happening in that particular county. The Wajir County Governor, that is Governor Mohammed Abdi, was impeached yesterday, and now his fate now lies with the Senate, whether the Senate is going to form a committee to listen to his woes, or the whole House will have a special sitting for that matter. All right, that brings us to an end on this particular show. Let's cross over to Doreen in a short while to give us a look on what's happening on our roads after this particular break. Stay with us.
Tonight on KBC Channel 1.
And if it's busted by, why? Just because I took this decision myself? Lie. It's a lie, father. It is a blatant lie.
Just don't want to see the problem. You have become so egoistic that you just do not want to accept your mistake. You don't even want to look back and see what you have done.
Emperor, you're not trying to understand.
Magad's Emperor is talking to Magad's Crown Prince.
Relax, he'll be the Crown Prince. Anything happen?
I said it back then and I am saying it now. Next on.
Awe kazi yako nini hasa? Kabla uniite mjuzi,
Mzee wako anachona kaya. Basi ukimwona waona kaya na wanambilika. Unakwenda mpaka kwa mke wangu wewe. Kufanya nini? Mzee, kufanya nini wewe? Ninamuona. Na mbona nikisimu? Kalamu na karatasi kisende hii.
Wewe hata hiyo tatu. Hiyo tatu ya nani babu?
This weekend on KBC Channel 1.
Michelle, what did you do to annoy Kinyanjui this man?
This woman alone, such a melodramatic idiot.
Oh, I am a woman, eh? An idiot woman, see there? Okay. You did know how to make a woman when I am finished with you.
I am talking to you. Ne, if you feel this job is proving to be very challenging, I would suggest, that you just remove aside. Better, step down.
You know, this is almost like a comedy training class. I mean, you people are so funny.
Thank you very much, Ma'alimu.
That wasn't meant to be a compliment.
Classmates, every Saturday on KBC.
Next on.
Namuomba Allah atupatie furaha يوم العيد na atupatie siha na atuepushe na maasiya na mambo mabaya, atujalie tuwatembelee wagonjwa, tuwatembelee majirani. Hizo neema ambazo Muislamu amejaliwa ndani ya siku ya Idi, na pia sunna zake ambazo Muislamu amejaliwa.
And another quick look on what is happening along Likoni Road, given that is our area of focus this morning. And we are actually focusing on that stretch, which is still closed. This is from Jogo Road. All through to Likoni Lunga Road. This is a stretch which is still closed, that 1.7 kilometer road that is being constructed by the Kenyan Urban Roads Authority. So just a quick look on the traffic flow on that stretch. This is how it is looking like this morning. Looks like things have changed altogether. Traffic beginning to slightly build up through on this actually stretch, and this comes all the way as you leave Jogo Road there, which is quite interesting given the fact that there's still some sections of it closed, and some of those alternative routes that had been given, this is actually one of them, the Lunga Road, as you get to enjoy through the Enterprise roundabout, coming again still through Likoni to getting to Mombasa Road. That is one of those alternative routes which had been given by Kura since last year, given the fact that some sections of it had been closed. And look at how it is looking like this morning in terms of traffic, clearly showing that most residents along this area perhaps might be using this stretch, because this is how the situation has been since early morning. Heavy gridlock there, specific to that stretch or that lane that is just coming all the way from areas around Enterprise, all the way from areas around Donholm, as well as also Mombasa Road, coming through as you get to enjoy to Likoni on the other side of Mombasa Road as well, and also as you get to enjoy to Likoni Enterprise as you head over to the city center via Uhuru Highway. This is that stretch where there's really heavy kind of traffic, not moving, in fact, on some major sections just at a standstill, and some other sections moving at a very slow pace. The same is also being witnessed on the other side as you leave the Enterprise, going all through through Lunga, as well as you head over to the other side of Mombasa Road. But just for those that might have missed it, this is how it is looking like currently. As I'm mentioning, some sections of this particular road has been closed. They haven't said, at least as of now, till when. We know that it was previously supposed to be opened by March. That didn't happen because of those reasons that I gave you earlier. But this is how it is looking like as of now. Looks like they're now just still trying to finalize, most especially on the non-motorized transport system. That is the pedestrian walkways as well as the cyclist lanes. But looks like the major parts of the entire road at least is already complete. This is going to be a dual carriage road, because what they were doing on this specific road was expanding this road, and this is majorly because of how this area looks like. It's a commercial center, a lot of businesses around this specific stretch. In terms of businesses, look at companies, industries, especially along industrial area, Enterprise area, and also the Likoni stretch itself. It is also a residential area, so in terms of estates, quite a number of them as well, just leaving all the areas around the Enterprise place as well. Look at areas such as the Lunga estates, there's the Mara Daima, again, just a number of them. So this is why also part of this road was being expanded, at least to make it easy, not just for motorists, but also for pedestrians. As I mentioned, it's going to be a 1.7 kilometer stretch, and part of why, you know, the story also came up is because a lot of residents along this route had a lot of concerns on why it wasn't opened in March as it had earlier on been stated by Kura, given the fact that around this stretch, specifically around the Likoni Enterprise stretch there, you can remember that that particular overpass, which is now already installed, opened up to the public, took about 6 to 7 years to be complete, which is still around the same stretch. So this is why there was a lot of concerns on why this one had not been complete. But again, just to run you very quickly through on why it hadn't been complete, is because of the electricity as well as water. Electricity because they had to bring on board Kenya Power to relocate a number of these electricity poles, and then water because they had to bring the Nairobi Water and Sewerage Company to also relocate the water pipes. And this was all for the purpose of the expansion of this entire stretch. This is how it began as from September, when the process of the construction process in terms of rehabilitation began. This is actually how the entire process started. on this specific stretch, and this is how it is currently looking like. So again, it only means the minute they get to finish up with this entire project, we'll again just revisit to try and see how it is looking like, and ultimately also try to see how all of this will be impacting traffic. Because again, in as much as yes, it is an area just around commercial centers and trying to make it also easy for businesses, the other reason as to why they are expanding this road is also to make it, to reduce on the traffic flow. We've seen a lot of road works all in a bid to decongest and reduce the traffic flow on major areas here in Nairobi and even beyond Nairobi. So right now, a very quick look on the traffic flow. Again, try to see how the entire construction process is continuously affecting traffic, giving you some of those rules that had been given by the Kenya Number Roads Authority, where motorists could use, as well as also residents and also pedestrians along this specific stretch. So coming back to that stretch, it looks like just things are changing, and all the time, not for the better at all, because right now this is the road situation along this stretch, which is one of those alternative routes that had been given. This is the Likoni Lunga Road. Again, remember that from where Likoni Road starts, just from Jogoo Road, and that specific stretch goes all the way to the southern bypass as you enjoy to Mombasa Road. In between, there are two major roundabouts, if I can mention. There's the Likoni Enterprise roundabout, where that overpass was being constructed, at least already it's complete. And then we have the Likoni Lunga Road, which is again just around this stretch. A section of it also closed, because the section in which is closed is from Jogoo Road coming all the way to House of Manji Enterprise as you enjoy to Mombasa Road. In terms of traffic on that alternative route, this is again how it is looking like, heavy kind of gridlock. So again, it only means for our viewers coming from those areas and estates which I mentioned earlier might have to make do with that traffic. But also, as I said, and until when they complete this construction process, we'll continue to keep an eye on this specific route, try to see how it will be coming along and how it will altogether impact traffic on this stretch. Now, from the road, we delve into matters of economics. How does Kenya's economic status look like, and how then does this then affect Wanjiko's purchase power? Joining me this morning in this conversation is economist Geoffrey Injening. Good morning, sir, and thank you for your time.
Thank you very much. I'm really happy to be here.
Good. So from where you sit, Mr. Injeni, how would you describe Kenya's economic state currently?
All right. There are many ways you can put it. Maybe on a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being very poor, 10 being very good. Probably I'll put it at about 3 or 4. Meaning that it's a bit, it's very poor, but not as bad as you will expect given the past 2 years, the performance for the past 2 years. So I'll give it a 3 out of 10.
Wow. 3 out of 10. So what parameters have you looked at to arrive at 3 out of 10, where 10 is very good and 1 is poor?
All right. First, there are a number of problems we are facing. One is recently we had a significant increase in fuel prices, and every time you have fuel prices going up, then that pushes the cost of living up, because many other factors depend on the fuel cost. Things like transport and energy, and these items also support manufacturing and movement of food, and so that has led to inflation, and of course as a result, with the increased cost of living and the negative impact of COVID. The first quarter was meant to improve. The economy was meant to improve coming out of COVID last year. But I think with the second wave and the second lockdown of the key economic counties, that would mean that the economy is, it's not doing very well based on those parameters. And of course, I think, jobs have been lost at the moment. So we have less job creation, we have less activities in key sectors like agriculture, tourism, and manufacturing.
Thank you for that overview there, Mr. Injeni. Now, you've spoken about issues of the high cost of living, and that is one of the things that Wanjiku is really complaining about right now, the high cost of living, inflation, the CPI, they also indicates the same. Now, ahead of the budget, how best then should we finance the budget to try and accommodate the sentiments of Wanjiku? If you're given an opportunity to do this, how would you go about it?
Of course, there are still a number of issues that probably the government will need to, or even myself, I'll give priority to. Number one is how best do we get companies to begin again and organizations to resume? How do we get the economic activities to kick off? And probably the major impact is COVID. So therefore, we will need to put in a lot of our strategies to manage the situation that we're given, that is resulting from COVID. So for example, number one, I will try to make sure that we have enough vaccines coming up and get as many people as possible to get. And next will then be, once we have the vaccines in place, then we can ease the lockdown a bit, not fully, because again, if you move the lockdown and other COVID protocols, again, that may lead to a lot of exposure. And then secondly, you identify the key sectors that need to resume very quickly, especially the agriculture, financial services, higher education. Most likely, I'll put in some bit of money in healthcare, put in some money in manufacturing, put some money in education, because you also don't want to be lagging behind the education sector. And given that we have managed to vaccinate as many people as possible, we're easing some restrictions on transport so that the hotel sector attracting tourists can be achieved.
Well, we are speaking to economist Geoffrey Injeni there. We seem to have lost his feed, but he's soon going to be coming up online. Remember, what we're looking at is the state of Kenya's economy and asking economists if they were given an opportunity to actually prepare the finance budget 2021-2022, what key areas would they prioritize at a time, when the high cost of living is one of the issues that Wanjiku is grappling with, as well as the issues of debt servicing. Remember that this is a live broadcast and we welcome your views in regard to this particular conversation that we're having with you this morning, matters of this Kenya's state of the economy. What do you think should be prioritized? And more so, when it comes to financing this budget, we have seen over the last couple of weeks, conversation has been about, borrowing, government borrowing there. We have a loan facility now there with the IMF, and come June, July then, a commodity like LPG is going to attract VAT at 16%. Remember, LPG gas was zero rated before, meaning that the price of LPG gas there is likely to go up. Over the last few months also, as well as weeks all the way from January, every 14th of every month when we have the the economic, or rather the fuel price review there, It has been on an upward trajectory. Last month, the prices remained stagnant there, with government promising marketers that they're going to be compensated, for having them carry the brunt of the increase in fuel prices. Jeffrey and Jenny, I see you're back online there. We were talking about what areas you think should be prioritized in the budget 2021-2022. We are just but months away. Now, talking about those areas that you have prioritized, the issue of debt has played a very major role in as far as fiscal planning is concerned for the country, something that Treasury is really grappling with. From an economist point of view, we'll be taking a short break, but when we come back, we're going to be talking about the issue of debt and if indeed borrowing locally and or externally, the ripple effect it's going to have on the general economy. Do not go away. We'll be right back.
Tonight on KBC Channel 1. And if it wasn't right, why? Just because I took this decision myself? Lie! It's a lie, father! It is a blatant lie! Just don't want to see the problem. You have become so egoistic that you just do not want to accept your mistake. You don't even want to look back and see what you have done.
Emperor, you're not trying to understand me.
Magad's Emperor is talking to Magad's Crown Prince. Relax, he will be the Crown Prince. Anything happen? I said it back then and I'm saying it now. Tonight on KBC Channel 1.
That's unbelievable. I don't want to live here anymore. This doesn't feel like home. Oh my God. I'm going to leave. You leave? Where will you go? I'll go anywhere. And the amount you want me to deposit tomorrow?
I'm so sorry to disappoint you, madam, but your money is of no importance to me.
Are you telling me that you're going to refuse it? Lucretia might be the woman who shot Amaya. Really? She was at the building this morning, and she had a purse that looked just like the one I saw from the woman who came from Emma's building the day Amaya was shot.
Episode.
Mradi wa stima wa Last Mile Connectivity uliozinduliwa na Rais Uhuru Kenyatta unaendelea kurahisisha maisha ya wengi na pia kupiga jeki shughuli za kibiashara katika pembe zote za taifa hili. Wiki hii kwenye Project 254.
Kama haukuingia ili ndio itende. Cause huku juu kulikuwa kunakaa moshi cause kulikuwa hatuna pesa ya sola. Stima yetu tunatumia kwa hata dairy. Tunafanya ile tunaita machine milking. Tunapata faida kabisa. Hata subuhi ya hiyo faida. Tunaangalia ng'ombe, tunaangalia mbuzi, hata na anacha simu.
Alhamisi saa 2:30 kwenye runinga ya KBC Channel 1.
Next on
Namuomba Allah atupatie furaha يوم العيد na atupatie siha na atuepushe na maasiya na mambo mabaya, atujalie tuwatembelee wagonjwa, tuwatembelee majirani.
Every time you come around
hizo neema ambazo Muislamu amejaliwa ndani ya siku ya Eid, na pia sunna zake ambazo Muislamu amejaliwa.
Next on.
Aweka yako nini sasa? Kabla uniite mjuji, mzee wako anashona kaya. Basi ukimwona waona kaya na wanamilika.
Unakwenda mpaka kwa mke wangu wewe kufanya nini? Mzee kufanya nini wewe?
Ninamuona na mbona nakiheshimu kalamu na karatasi kiseme hivi.
Wewe nadhani ya tatu.
Hiyo.
Ya tatu ya nani babu?
This weekend on KBC Channel 1.
Michelle, what did you do to annoy Kinyanjui this month?
This woman alone, such a melodramatic idiot.
Oh, I am a woman, eh? An idiot woman, see here. Okay, you will know how smart I am when I am finished with you.
I am talking to you. Ne, if you feel this job is proving to be very challenging, I would suggest that you just remove yourself. Better, step down.
You know, this is almost like a comedy training class. I mean, you people are so funny. Thank you very much, Ma'alimu. That wasn't meant to be a compliment.
Classmates, every Saturday on KBC.
I am making my own creations to help me capture the Smurfs. Hello! I call them... Hello, kitty! The naughties. Deeply disappointing experiment. My naughties. We must capture Smurfette. Only she can give us the formula to make you true blue Smurfs. I had a bad side. Nice shot. Right in the Smurf berries.
The Smurfs. This weekend on KBC Channel 1.
Nampa nafasi ya mwisho ya kitu gani? Sijampa pesa mimi tu. Sijampa pesa safari ya kwanza apoteza. Sijampa pesa safari ya pili apoteza. Nimpe pesa tena akatupe.
Ndio chakari nafasi. Sikia yeye simleje mate mwenyewe rangi. Epe. Rudini hapa. Nasema rudini hapa.
This weekend on KBC Channel 1.
Don't be upset, darling. I know how to deal with nasty people.
Gamma, please don't be rude. Mom? Why are you drinking like that? I'm celebrating. I believe the three of us have some celebrating. Hmm? The thing about lies is that we never find out.
I'd expect that of anybody except Nina.
You already told me last night. There's nothing left to do. We're losing the house.
Bianca, what are you doing here?
I knew that you would be here.
Barani Mtwapa, Kilifi County. Here we meet Kadzu Muriani. Muriani is the mother of 6. She's also a grandmother. Her 2 daughters gave birth while they were in school.
Si mara ya kwanza, si nimekuonyesha chengine hapa. Kisha kwa kikubwa. Kwa hivyo mimi nimepitia, si mara ya kwanza huyu. Kile nilichokuonyesha kile, mamake yuko darasa la 7, nimelipa pesa za mtihani, ananiambia nikakalie mimi mtihani.
Hassan also impregnated a girl who has since moved in with her baby. She now has to take care of 3 grandchildren, all under the age of 2. Muriani, however, attributes teen pregnancy in this region to high levels of poverty.
Mzazi pengine utakuwa huna mpango nyumbani, kwa kuwa ale ndio atamfuata baba kama huyu. Amwambie akimpata kama huyu, atamwambia twende kununulie viazi, ndio tayari atamfuata. Sababu wewe mwenyewe huku huna mpango, na akiangalia nenda kununuliwa nishibe, si ataenda.
Rebellion and sheer generational indiscipline, she says, is equally to blame.
Watoto wa siku hizi si kama wa zamani. Si kama sisi tulivyolelewa sisi, vile na waonavyo. Si kama sisi. Manake sisi wakati wetu tuwasichana. Hutakubali mamako aingie jikoni apike sima na uje ukae wewe ule. Alafu muache vyombo pale akavieke ama aoshe. Lakini wa saa hii unamsongea sima vizuri na amekaa, aje achukue sima ale na kuache hivyo vyombo.
She portrays a picture of a mother giving up on her daughters.
Sasa utaambiwa nipe simu, utajua mtu anaongea na nani. Nipe simu, pengine nipe nicheze game. Haya unampatia, wewe pengine una kazi yako, utajua inafanywa nini. Kumbe mtu yeye anapigia mtu wake, akimaliza kupiga, kama mimi ambaye sikusoma, hata sitasoma hizo message zao, pengine zimefutwa, utapata nini?
In Ganze, we met the family view. It's not been easy for the family.
Niko nayo, nilikuwa niko kwa kazi. Nafanya kazi ya nyumbani kwa somesha wao. Sasa tangu juzi nimeketi. Sasa hivi sijui nitarudi vipi kule kazini kwa sababu sina mtoto na huyo atarudi shule. Na nilikuwa huyo baba alifanya kazi timboni. Hawakulipwa. Tangu Januari hajafanya kazi, amekaa hapa. Anasema kule paka pesa zake zitoke. Sasa mimi ndimi nafanya kazi kwa somesha wao. Sasa hii nimepata mtoto. Sijui sasa atafanya njia gani hapo katikati.
At the Ganze clinic, I met these 3 men. They echo Mama Muriani's sentiments.
Sasa zile mila za zamani ambazo hapo zamani tulikuwa na makome. Makome ni ile dhome, watoto wa kike walikuwa ikifika hiyo doni ile saa 11, saa 12 wanaenda chukua kuni, wanaweka hapo, alafu kuna wale wakina nyanya wanawapatia mawaidha. Sasa hizo mambo ni kama imeisha. Ni kila mtu ni .com. Ikifika hiyo jioni kilo moja ana mwelekeo wake anaenda.
Poor housing in this area is also another challenge that has seen children's sexual debut set in earlier.
Tuna upungufu wa nyumba ni ndogo. Unaona? Walala pale na bibi yako, watoto nao wanalala hapa. Unaweza kusema watoto wamelala, kumbe wanakuona zile habari zako ambazo unazipeana hapo kwa bibi yako. Mtoto naye anachukua advantage. Unaona?
Mzazi wa kijana huyo una changamoto.
Sikubali Kazungu holds there's high level of indiscipline among the younger generation. This generation, these men say, does not listen to the counsel of the elders.
Sisi kama wazazi, unapoonya mtoto wako kwa kumshauri, inafikia wakati sasa mtoto hajasikia, inabidi umuongeze kiboko kabisa, ndio akuelewe zaidi. Na ajue kwamba ni kweli huyu baba ili jambo hataki. Lakini sasa kulingana na sheria yetu ama katiba yetu, sasa kufikia sasa ni kwamba mtoto ni kana kwamba hakuna vile ambavyo unaweza kuadhibu mtoto. Sasa hii hali ya kuboko kuondolewa kwa mtoto imetutatiza sana. Watoto wengi wamekuwa na viburi. Inakuwa sasa hata jambo ambalo wewe kama mzazi unali halifai, analifanya kwa kiburi kabisa mtoto.
Other key contributors of teenage pregnancy in this region, according to Kenneth Miriti, who works at the Department of Health in Kilifi County, are cases of incest, fish for sex, border, who are perpetrators and enablers of the vice.
I have interacted with the border riders who will tell me, you tell us we are the ones who are causing this problem, but we deliver the girls. So like a person like me would send a boda to Mtwapa to bring a girl to Kilifi, and then in the morning, very early in the morning, he takes the girl back to. So the bodas are not only perpetrators but are also enablers of these problems.
In Kisumu County, Seme Sub-County, we met Thomas Mboya. He is a father of 5 and now a grandfather. He blames his daughter's predicament to the long closure of schools due to the coronavirus pandemic.
Corona katuletea shida ambao unapata kuna watoto ambao walipoenda kule, walipotolewa shuleni, walijipata kwenye maisha ambao za zingine inawaleta kuwa wazazi na wao pia walikuwa wangali wadogo. Sasa unaona mtu kama mimi sasa lazima niwe na mjukuu. Sasa na hali yangu inabadilika. Kama ilikuwa ni ya ujana, sasa naingilia mambo ya uzee.
Mother and child will also need proper nutrition, which puts an even bigger strain on the family. Regina Mulama, also from Kisumu, holds that the inability by parents to provide especially for their daughters is a contributing factor.
Tuseme hii mimba ni kwa sababu tu wazazi wengi hawana mapato. Sasa saa hizi tuko na shida mingi ya fedha. Unakuta mtoto labda anahitaji kitu fulani na sina hiyo pesa. Mtoto anaenda nje anajaribu kuongeleshwa na marafiki na anampea labda pesa fulani.
At the Pamoja CBO in Seme, Kisumu County, the organization, which has been in operation for the last 13 years, works for girls and young women between the ages of 10 to 24 in areas of reproductive health, education and sanitation. Judith Award shares the struggles they face in supporting especially teen girls who need to go back to school.
We've had cases whereby parents are not able to support these girls to go back to school. And as an organization, there is nothing we can now be able to do other than just advocating for girls who are pregnant to go back to school, but with the parent part. Who is going to take care of the child? It is the parent's responsibility to now pick the part of being the mother to this child while her child is going back to school. So most of the parents find this difficult.
Tomorrow, on the third part of this series, we take a look at the teenage pregnancy statistics globally and also in the country. Caroline Kamar reporting for Channel 1 News.
All right, before we continue with that conversation there that Trey was having, time to take another quick look on the roads. As of now, try to see how it is looking like in terms of traffic. We're still focusing on this specific stretch, which was our focus today. That is Lunga Lunga Road there, all the way from Likoni Road. And I had told you earlier that because of those ongoing road works there, this stretch is what has especially been said to be one of those alternative routes that has been given by the Kenyan Urban Roads authorities, at least until this construction process is complete. This is the expansion or widening of this 1.7 kilometer road coming all the way from Jogo Road, gets to branch off to a number of major roundabouts there. And what I was telling you earlier is that Likoni Road begins from Jogo Road, goes all the way to the southern bypass before you get to Mombasa Road, but in between it branches off to a number of slip roads, and key among them, one of those are major slip roads. The first one is the Likoni Lunga Road, which is again one of those good alternative routes that have been given, like I mentioned, at least until this construction process is complete. We also have the Likoni Enterprise Road. On this specific stretch is where there's really heavy gridlock, but we'll be getting to that in a short while. However, look look at how Likoni Enterprise is looking like in terms of traffic, this is a Likoni Enterprise road there, and this is that specific roundabout. Again, one of those busy roundabouts. There had also been a lot of ongoing works on this, especially this area. If you can remember those construction processes that took an entire 6 to 7 years just to be complete, and that was that overpass along this stretch. In terms of traffic right now, not so bad. Yes, in as much as it's beginning to slightly build up, but altogether manageable kind of traffic. But again, before we continue, how about I show you how this process has been coming along? For those that may have missed perhaps our previous traffic link-up segments, this is exactly what we are talking about, and this is the major reason as to why this morning we are focusing on this road. This is that stretch. This is the Likoni Lunga stretch there. In fact, the section in which has been closed, it's from Jogoo Road coming all the way to House of Manji as you get to branch off to Enterprise, going all the way to Mombasa Road. And the reason as to why they are expanding this road is because of the kind of businesses around this area, in terms of it being a commercial centers, companies, industries, quite a number of them along this area, not forgetting the fact that it's also a residential area. So the major reason as to why even Kura gave that statement there is because there had been a lot of concerns from Kenyans, given the fact that their earlier on statement had mentioned that in March we were expecting the road to be complete and open up to the public, given the fact that it had been closed since September, making it difficult for most especially motorists as well as residents. Also, those just from that stretch which I've mentioned. But again, what they said is that they haven't really given a timeline in as much as they've extended it further, at least until it's complete. But at least this is how the process began. And right now, as we speak, this is how it is looking like. Just from what you're spotting, it looks like in as much as, yes, residents and motorists around this area might need to just wait a little bit longer. It looks like the only parts remaining perhaps is that stretch as you get to that on those other side where we have the non-motorized transport system, inclusive of cyclist lanes as well as pedestrian walkways. One thing that you might have noticed is even as we look at most of these roads that are either being rehabilitated, expanded, reconstructed here in Nairobi or even beyond, one thing that is not missing is what we call the non-motorized transport system, because at least part of what they're doing is that in as much as they want to ensure that they make it easy for motorists, they also want to at least make it easy for pedestrians and cyclists. And also part of why this is very important to have on most of these roads, which have either been earmarked for reconstruction or are still undergoing the process, is again to also reduce on the number of accidents and death cases being witnessed on most of these major roads. This is a reason as to why. When you have most of these major roads like this, could be major roads, could be slip roads, case in point this one, and you do not have either the pedestrian walkways, the cyclist lanes, or even the footbridge, what it simply means is pedestrians will tend to use this road. You see where we have the center there, which is the major road made for public as well as private vehicles. So if you do not have this designated lanes, then it only means that they will tend to use this particular stretch which has been made for vehicles. And sometimes it only means that traffic police would at times need to stop vehicles. So this is why it has become very important to either have footbridges on major highways or on most of these roads, and if that is not in place, to at least have the pedestrian walkways or cyclist lanes, or altogether have both of them. So again, a very quick look on the traffic flow therein, try to see if things have changed or is the same situation as how it was. This is one of those major roundabouts there as you get to branch off from Likoni Road, which is the Likoni Enterprise Road. Nothing has changed actually. This is just how it was in terms of the traffic flow there, beginning to slightly build up, especially as you leave Mombasa Road all the way through Enterprise, branching off to the same roundabout as you head over through Enterprise as you get to enjoin to Uhuru Highway. This is the road situation there in terms of the traffic flow, still focusing on what is happening on this specific stretch in terms of traffic. And again, just the way it is looking like, it still means that we do not need to look at any alternative routes, at least as of now.
Back to matters economics with Geoffrey in Jenny there. Sorry for that interlude. Now we go back to where we were. Talking about the year 2021-2022. When you talk about issues of financing this budget, will KRA meet its target? Mr. Injeni, if you can hear me, would want to know what is your opinion in regard to a target that has been set, for the tax rate.
That's a big. All right, thank you very much, Regina. I think with regards to whether KRA will meet the targets, when KRA has still, to meet its, some missing target. But given that this year, the first quarter, and where we're going to in the second quarter and the rest of the year, the economy is not projected to do very well until maybe the second quarter, that's from June or even from October. It's likely that KRA may not be able to meet its targets, but taxes are not the only way the government can be able to fill in some of the lack of meeting the targets. I see more of borrowing than relying a lot on taxes. But definitely it will be a challenge for KRA to meet the target for the year.
Mm-hmm. Now, talking about KRA meeting its target, we saw what the courts did there with the suspension of, the withholding the tax, the 1% turnover tax there, after Kenyans, especially MSMEs, raised concern, saying that their businesses were recording losses. Looking at that and talking about MSMEs, what does the future portend, especially for these MSMEs, given that they hold a larger chunk of the business community?
Yes, I think on the one hand, when I look from the government side, an economy like ours that relies a lot on SMEs and even the small ones, sometimes we call them micro SMEs, it is possible to actually raise a lot of money from these SMEs and MSMEs by way of having the turnover tax. In fact, if you look at the rationale for turnover tax, the idea was that ideally you're supposed to pay tax from your profit that you make. Profit means the income you're getting less the expenses you're incurring. Before you share out, you pay the government in form of tax. Now, the challenge has been you find many SMEs have more expenses than income, and they report losses and they're not able to pay tax. But in the meantime, if you think as an individual, when you're having more spending than what you're earning, it means that the difference must be financed by borrowing. So many SMEs rely a lot on borrowing to finance that gap. So I think the idea of turnover tax, was well thought out in terms of trying to raise more money to support the economy. But I think the assumption was SMEs, will be able to pay, but that is adding more expenses. And then given that the economic environment is a bit tough, SMEs are also facing more challenges in terms of borrowing to finance their business. And therefore, it will be very uneconomical and antisocial to borrow so that you can pay tax. So I think the idea of bringing everybody on board to pay tax is something that needs to be widely considered, although again, the government has a lot of pressure. On the one hand, most likely, given the COVID situation, it's likely the government might resort to borrowing. And again, recently you saw that there was a bit of a challenge asking the government, guys are complaining about the government taking too much debt. So there's a lot of dynamics, but I think SMEs are highly impacted with COVID. And it is going to take not just 2021, but even up to 2022, 2023, to start seeing significant progress in terms of improvement by our MSMEs and SMEs.
Mm-hmm. Now, there was a report that was shared that indicated that during the COVID-19 period, that is 2020 spilling over to 2021, that the rich continued to be rich while the poor continued to be poorer. From matters of economics, is this true?
Okay, it depends. It depends actually with how how lucky you are. If your business was leveraged on the good side of economics, for example, in the healthcare sector, maybe just a bit of entertainment and maybe some essential services, just a bit of maybe things like maybe transport, but even transport, it depends which type of transport. And of course, if your business is focused on what people call the essential services, when I talk about entertainment, I'm looking at things like beer or alcohol. For some, not everybody, you'll find that definitely, you will be richer in that context. But there are also other people who are affected, the ones who are rich before, who are no longer rich. And so, you find that their businesses are, they've been adversely affected. Let's say you're in the hotel sector, you're in education, for example, offering private education. And of course, issues of tourism, some aspects of transport, like, if you're in Uber and the taxi fares and the like. But generally, there is a significant growth in some of the people who are rich, and most likely they moved away their monies from risk investment and put money in investments. For example, I've already interacted with some asset investment managers who are saying that as soon as COVID restrictions came in, a number of people stopped plans like construction, and they moved their monies to, say, fixed deposits and other, money market investments, where they've had some very good returns. So, in a way, we can say that yes, there are those who have become rich, they are very successful, and those who also leveraged on COVID. But on average, there's a decline in the level of wealth for a few people, and then the people who are very poor, their poverty levels ended up increasing. Yeah,
dipped. Yeah. Now, digital shift. They've had a shift towards digital, in the way we do our business, the way we communicate. Is this just a knee-jerk reaction to the COVID-19 disruptions, or is this here for the long term? Look at how we do business. A sector like insurance sector now is almost fully digital.
Yes. Yeah, in fact, the truth is that we have always been digital. That's the reality. And digital processes have been here for quite a long time. It's only that because of COVID restrictions, we have now had to rely more on digital processes. So, for example, a number of businesses were already doing meetings and serving customers online, and so you'll see that that's a form of digitization. Even things like mobile money transfers, that's those are digital financial services. And it's just that now there are some services that are still important that require face-to-face interaction. And the only question then is, having moved some of these essential services to digital platforms, for example, education, where children all the way from pre or pre-primary or grade 1, they are now learning through Zoom. It's something that now people will have to think: is there a way to remain there, or is it better to do some form of blended? And what I'm saying is that there'll be more of blended kind of interaction. So where teachers will tell the students, okay, fine, for now we will do our Zoom class, 2 hours Zoom class, and then we shall meet another 2 hours for face-to-face interaction so that we can do some activities that require face-to-face interactions. It's going to be the same even for serving customers because a blended kind of approach will apply in all aspects. For example, even the banking sector, it will be difficult to say, to give customers a loan without maybe having a physical interaction with them. So what I'm looking at is that the question then will be, what extent are we going to say we have a blended kind of situation for employees or people at work? How many hours do you work while you're at home? How many hours do you need to get to work? For students, how many hours will you be learning from home? And how many hours will you need to get to school? This applies also to universities. Even financial services, the banks, the insurance companies, and others. The question will always be, to what extent do we completely run the digitization process? So I think we're just migrating slowly. So those will be the questions to be answered. But definitely digital processes and activities have always been there. Only that now COVID has made that more prominent.
In conclusion, sir, there are those who are of the opinion that when you talk about economic recovery post-COVID, we're looking at the year 2024, given our economy. What is your view in regard to economic recovery for the country?
Yes, that reminds me some concepts that people are learning in economics, something called the J curve. The J curve, in fact, simply says that when you have an economic recession, meaning the economy is doing badly, so a few people check to see how bad are we, all right, towards the negative side. So as you go down towards the negative, you'll reach what is called the bottom level, where things cannot go worse than what they are. So that is the bottom of the J. Then from there now, the next question people ask is, when are we going to take off? So I think if you're looking from 2019, when we had the challenges of accessing credit because of interest rate capping, we thought early 2020, we're going to have a recovery from that, but then COVID came in. So what COVID has done is that for many sectors, COVID pushed people downwards towards the J, and it's likely that we could still be down. We don't know how long this might take, but if vaccines and other strategies work, it is likely that by the end of the year is when we start kicking off or now coming out of the bottom of the J curve. So that means that at the beginning of 2022, we might still be getting the economy back to where it should be. 2024 is a bit far because unless now we say that our politics might take us back again, so the politics might actually extend us guys, or it might delay economic recovery. So my bet will be people who should plan maybe by mid 2023. That is one is being overly optimistic, but effectively 2024 could be a possible year when the economy now gets into full recovery. But again, these are factors that are dependent on many issues that are beyond control. How long will COVID harass us this year? So that's very important. And what impact will elections next year, affect us? So it could be as early as mid as 2023, or it could just be 2024. So that I think is a reasonable estimate from the analysis we have.
Thank you very much, Geoffrey Njeni, an economist, just weighing in on this conversation in regard to where we are as far as the economy is concerned, and just giving us some projections in regard to the budget process there and his expectations. They're saying yes, this budget is likely to focus on a recovery strategy, and talking about recovery, well, 2023, 2024 might just be when we get back on our feet in as far as the economy is concerned. Remember, matters of politics also play a major role to matters of socio-economic development. You have been watching Good Morning Kenya. I'm Regina Manyara. Let us do this same time tomorrow. Remember, we are going to be bringing you the live proceedings at the bicameral parliament there as BBI gets to the House, and we're expecting quite a showdown there, so to speak. So do keep it KBC Channel 1. Indeed, we have a lot in store for you, as well as what is going to be happening in the courts, as well as matters business and sports. Have a great day ahead. Thank you very much, Geoffrey and Jenny, for your patience there and weighing in on our conversation. Have a good day. You have been watching Good Morning Kenya.
Tonight on KBC Channel 1.
That's unbelievable. I don't want to live here anymore. This doesn't feel like home. Oh my God. I'm going to leave. You leave? Where will you go? I'll go anywhere. And the amount you want me to deposit tomorrow?
I'm so sorry to disappoint you, madam, but your money's of no importance to me.
Are you telling me that you're going to refuse it? Lucretia might be the woman who shot Amaya. Really? She was at the building this night, and she had a purse that looked just like the one I saw from the woman who came from Emma's building the day Amaya was shot.
This weekend on KBC Channel 1. Hapa nafasi ya mwisho, yani sijampa pesa ni YouTube, sijampa pesa safari ya kwanza apoteza, sijampa pesa safari ya pili apoteza, nimpepesa tena akatupe.